Hi guys, this is Vysh from Vysh IAS and we are going to continue the chapter 9 and today we will finish the chapter 9 actually. So this is the part 4 and final part. So the biggest chapter we had in this textbook we are going to complete today, and next video will be chapter 10, which will be again done in I think 2 or 3 parts. It won't go to 4 parts, it will be 2 or 3 parts, which is also the time when we will get independence in the chapter 10. In chapter 9 we are going to see the new character B.R. Ambedkar, and we'll continue with the roundtable conferences, of which the first roundtable conference we have done in the last part, and also Government of India Act 1935 is here in this chapter, but I have actually excluded it in the slides because we have a different chapter where we will be dealing with all the acts from the Regulating Act till the Indian Independence Act. So even though I have mentioned here in the cover page, we will not be covering it in this chapter. We will do it when we do the all the acts together, because we have to take some points from Lakshmikant also, because that is how it will be having a complete picture. So let's begin chapter 9's final part. So along with the salt satyagraha which happened in the Gujarat region, across India lot of things were happening. This was one of the greatest mass movement of Indian independence. So we have to see across India who were the leaders. We have seen few leaders in the last video, but here we will see few more which are important with respect to prelims as well as mains. So let's see what was happening across India. At Peshawar, which is in present day Pakistan, a leader named Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan, who you see in picture, this tall man, Pathan actually, he is also called Badshah Khan and Frontier Gandhi. This has been asked in UPSC, so you should know the name. Social and educational reform work among the Pathans. So he was a great leader in that area, northwest India. Political monthly name is Puktoon. So you have to remember this name also, who it is related to: Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan, Badshah Khan, Frontier Gandhi. Any name given in the UPSC options you should know. He organized a volunteer brigade called Khudai Khidmat Gas or Red Shirts. This is often mentioned in almost every mock test by all the known leading educational website. This question is there: Khudai Khidmat Gas or Red Shirts is related to whom? And basically when you see red shirts, don't think like it is something related to blood or something violent. It is actually a non-violent volunteer group. Okay, Frontier Gandhi, he was always non-violent, and that is why he is called Frontier Gandhi. His ideals were similar to Mahatma Gandhi. Mass demonstration by unarmed volunteers. British came down with forces. So obviously Britishers will not leave even people who come up with arms. So anyone who comes against them will be put down by forces. The Garhwal Rifles soldiers refused to shoot on the unarmed men. So this was a great win for Frontier Gandhi and his men, because the Garhwal Rifles, if you remember when we learnt about Anglo-Nepal relationship, they are Indians, regions of Kumaon and Garhwal had come back to India, the regions, and a regiment, Garhwal Rifles, was formed, and these people did not feel like shooting at the unarmed red shirts. So it was a setback for the British. Sholapur, industrial town in southern Maharashtra, one of the fiercest response from activists. So here it was actually little bit of violence was there. Textile workers went on strike, burnt liquor shops, even burnt all government set up infrastructure like railways, police stations, municipal buildings, etc. Established a virtual parallel government which was later dislodged by martial law. So it was a little bit violent, and here finally it came to end again by British forces. Darshana, it is actually salt works factory where Sarojini Naidu, Manilal, Imam Sahib were the leaders. They decided to raid the salt works factory, and it was compared to Sholapur, this was peaceful, but they have to face lathi charge. No firing, but lathi charge, and many were injured. So this is a picture again of Mahatma Gandhi and Sarojini Naidu in the salt satyagraha. So these were important leaders. We'll see more in the next slide. So Frontier Gandhi, please remember all the facts we have mentioned here, and also about Sarojini Naidu and and her activities or contribution in the salt satyagraha. So this is another important personality. We'll see who she is. Before that, few other places: Bihar, Bengal, Gujarat, UP. Activists protested by not paying taxes of different forms. So if you remember, Gandhi had given instructions while leaving from Ahmedabad ashram that you should not pay taxes if you can. Okay. So Gandhi's wave was sweeping the nation. Now often the news we tell like Modi wave is there. Similarly, at that time the central voice or the only name in majority of the people's heart was Gandhi. Gandhi wave swept the nation. Assam, a powerful agitation organized against the Cunningham Circular. There is something called Cunningham Circular, and you should know it is related to Assam. It was actually like in South Africa, if you remember, uh, there was a rule like Indians should carry a certificate with their thumbprints all the time with them. Similarly, Cunningham Circular in India in Assam was like it forced parents, guardians, and students to furnish assurances of good behavior. That is, they will not go against British law or something. So that assurance should be given, and it was forcing the parents, guardians, and students in India. Cunningham had put out a circular. So this was famous at that time. That is why I have mentioned here. So if you get a question like what is Cunningham Circular or what is it related to, it is related to civil disobedience movement in Assam. These are notable names of the northeast Assam region. Sri Satish Chandra Kakarvi, Pushpalata Das, and bodies were Nritya Bahini, Shanti Bahini, Charka Sangha. So any match the following or any mention of this in UPSC should not be left by us, especially those who watch this video. Please don't mark any wrong answer even after covering all this. New National School, Kamrup Academy High School. Kamrup was actually the older name of the northeast region also. If you have learnt your ancient and medieval history well, you will be knowing Kamrup. So, New National School was set up there. Now, Manipur and Nagaland is where the person in this picture comes into light. The Naga spiritual leader, Rani Gaidinelu. So, she was actually from the young age, that is from the age of 13 itself, I think, yes, 13, she rose against the British and got arrested in 1932. Life imprisonment, mobilization of masses through secret patrikas, Vanar Senas, Manjari Senas, magic lanterns. So she was always on the streets protesting against the Britishers at a very young age, and she got life imprisonment. The title Rani was given by Jawaharlal Nehru actually. Nehru visited her in jail and gave her this title of Rani. If you see, if you are following your current affairs, you should have already seen it. The 100 years happened in 2062, her birth anniversary, and so a coin, 100 rupee coin, was released in her memorial, and also Indian Coast Guard ship was named after her. So this becomes very important because 2016 she is in the news. Okay, so you should know the title given by Jawaharlal Nehru. She was a activist from the young age. She was on the streets against British. The 100 rupee coin, the Indian Coast Guard ship. So all these things should be in your mind. Now, what was the actual government's response? Because CDM, as I told, it is the most or biggest mass movement of all times which British have seen. So government was totally puzzled and perplexed. They were thinking like, how come this happened? How come such a big movement happened, and how Gandhi wave is sweeping across the entire nation? And they told like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. That is, if you do something also it's a problem, if you don't do something also it's a problem. So they were totally confused. Why? Because if force was applied, Congress would cry come and shout in the parliament, the INC meetings and all the RTC or roundtable, like repression. If you remember, repression, suppression and all we have seen in the last chapter in detail. So repression, they will cry. So they cannot do anything. But in case what if they don't do anything and keep silent, then what will happen? Then Congress will cry victory. That is, we have overpowered the British, now that we have got complete independence of freedom, and that is how Jawaharlal Nehru and other youth leaders proceeded. So it was a total confusing state for the government. They didn't know whether to apply force or not. They even feared to arrest Gandhi, because if such a wave is happening in India, you can imagine what will be the repercussions if Gandhi was arrested. So they could not arrest Gandhi also. But anyway, they put ban on civil liberties, freedom of press, lathi charge, firing on unarmed crowd, about 90,000 arrested, including Gandhi and Nehru. We have seen it already in the last video. So everything they tried, but the mass movement happened at its peak and nothing could be done to revert people's mind. Simon Commission meanwhile gave the report. Okay, if you remember 1928 they had come and they were drafting the report, but when the report came, what happened? There was no mention of dominion status. If you remember Nehru report, the major need was dominion status. Obviously youth leaders wanted complete independence, but Motilal Nehru drafted dominion status and even that was not given. So obviously the nationalists will get upset. So what will happen next? Also, if you remember, Labour Party has come and the new person was Irwin. The Lord Viceroy was Irwin under Ramsay MacDonald. So arrange roundtable conferences to decide dominion. We have seen this already, the first roundtable conference we have seen. Motilal Nehru and Jawaharlal Nehru met Gandhi in Yeravada jail to discuss on the same. Okay, they were all in jail, So Viceroy made a provision for them to come together, meet in Yaroda jail in Pune. This jail is also important. We'll see why. We have to learn Pune Pact later. So they discussed and they put forward three demands: right of secession from Britain, complete national government with control over defense and finance, independent tribunal to settle British financial claims. So obviously it's like claiming independence. British should go away, give us entire control of governance, and the financial claims should be set up, solved through other separate tribunal. But do you think this will be accepted? Obviously no. So nothing was accepted and talk started failing. This is the first talk which happened. Now the main thing, the Gandhi-Irwin Pact, which is also called Delhi Pact in some textbooks. So when you tell Delhi Pact, one thing you have to remember is there are a lot of pacts which is called Delhi Pact in Indian history. So don't confuse yourself. If there is a choice, you can take Gandhi-Irwin Pact also. But there are other pacts between Jawaharlal Nehru, Liaquat Khan and all, which is also called Delhi Pact. Okay. The first Roundtable Conference, November 1932, January 1931. First ever conference arranged with Britain and Indians as equal. Gandhi, Congress and most business leaders did not participate. If you remember, Jawaharlal Nehru was made the president of INC in 1929 and 1930, and he had told like, we will not participate in INC and we will boycott everything. So because of that, Congress did not participate. But meanwhile, Muslim League, Hindu Mahasabha, liberals and all the princes of the princely states, all the rulers, Maharajas and all, they attended the Roundtable Conference. Obviously, it is a meeting at London, and these people anyway, the prince and all, they did not have any proper stand or decision. So they will obviously go and make use of this opportunity. So this meeting happened in that way. But if the conclusion, you will see like nothing much happened, because Congress was in majority always among all the nationalist leaders, and because they was not there, nothing happened. But British thought like, we will do something and we will make them participate in second RTC. We don't want to simply waste RTCs like this, roundtable conferences. So in the picture you see, Viceroy and Gandhi agreed on truce in India. That is the Gandhi-Irwin Pact, which we will learn next. Okay. So many demands of Gandhi was actually agreed. So we will see what all was agreed by Irwin. Immediate release of all political prisoners not convicted of violence. So who are arrested for non-violence kind of thing, they will be released. Only violent people will be kept in the jail. Like Bhagat Singh and all was not released. That was actually called as a bad mark in Gandhi's life also. Many people blamed him like Gandhi did not fight much to get Bhagat Singh out of jail. So we'll see, but he could not do much also. We'll see what all he achieved for us. So right to make salt in coastal village. So the salt satyagraha was a successful movement. Right to peaceful picketing. Lenient treatment of officers who resign. So if you remember, many people had boycotted and resigned from public officers. So if they join back, they will be treated properly. Return of all land not sold to third party. So if land was acquired by Britishers and it is still with them, they should return it back. Remission of any new fines. So unwanted fines should not be there. Withdrawal of emergency ordinances. So emergency condition or the Viceroy's rule kind of thing should not happen, and everything should be withdrawn. So these were all the achievements of Gandhi-Irwin Pact, and you should know all these 7 points. Please make a note of it. But there were few things which Gandhi could not achieve also. Enquiry into police excesses. So he demanded for an enquiry commission, but that was not allowed. Commutation of Bhagat Singh and comrades from death sentence to life sentence. So this is what I told. Many people blame like Gandhi did not fight much to get this done, and this point was withdrawn, and finally Bhagat Singh, Rajguru and Sukhdev was hanged. Gandhiji on behalf of INC decided to withdraw from civil disobedience movement. So if UPSC asked with what did civil disobedience movement end officially, it was after the Gandhi-Irwin Pact, and it is also after the first roundtable conference. So the timeline you should know. And he also told they will participate in the second roundtable conference. End of civil disobedience movement. Many criticized that the pact was a retreat, but in reality it was not. So many told like coming out of this was bad. If you remember, Subhash Chandra Bose had told during non-cooperation movement the same thing, like we should not withdraw from it. Similarly now, many people are telling you should not have withdrawn from civil disobedience movement and you should not have signed the pact. It is a failure. Many people told, but actually it was not, because all the mass movements are short-lived. If you know, people's energy will get over by after a certain time. It's not like the day one energy will be retained till the day 100. Okay, so that was one reason. Capacity of masses to make self-sacrifices are limited, unlike revolutionaries. Like, you know, revolutionaries will be engaged in heroic deeds and individual heroisms, but all the masses who are common people and artisans and peasants, they cannot do self-sacrifices like them for a long time. Initial enthusiasm was exhausting among merchants and traders. Youth were largely upset, but they believed in Gandhian's leadership. So overall effect was, it was ended peacefully, but there were mixed views from different kind of classes of the society. Political prisoners released from jail were treated as heroes. So now we'll do the comparison with non-cooperation movement, which is also a mains question which has been asked 2 or 3 times in UPSC mains in GS paper 1. So you should know comparison with non-cooperation movement. CDM aimed complete independence, but NCM was against Khilafat and Jallianwala Bagh. So the basic motive itself was different for both of them. Methods different. Here it's breaking the law. There it was not following the law. So if you remember, I have told you this explanation multiple times in multiple videos. Non-cooperation is something like we won't cooperate or we won't listen to something. Okay, like we won't pay taxes. But this civil disobedience movement is something like we will break the law. We will do something against the law itself. Okay, like the salt satyagraha. We should not. That was the rule. Like salt should not be produced by Indians. But Gandhi went and took salt in his hand. So that is the main difference between the two terms, non-cooperation movement and civil disobedience movement. Number of people giving up service as law students, shifting to national schools, so everything was lesser in CDM. In non-cooperation movement and Swadeshi movement, if you see, almost everyone was boycotting. The boycotting was more there. Okay, in civil disobedience movement, it is lesser. It was there, but it was lesser. Muslim participation was also lesser in CDM. If you remember, a lot of leaders told not to participate in it. So CDM, it is lesser. Peasants and business class were more. So this is some. Now we saw 2 things which are lesser. That is the boycotting and the Muslim participation. Now we'll see 2 things which are more: peasants and business class, and the number of political prisoners were also more. Okay, the number of arrests. INC was organized much more strong. So INC had become a much more stronger body by now, because if you see the timeline, it is 1930s. Okay, so it is 10 or 11 years after non-cooperation movement, and Gandhi became a strong leader. During non-cooperation movement, Gandhi had just come to India, but now Gandhi was a mass leader. So that was basically the difference between the both. Now the next session, which I told, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel will be the president of Karachi session 1931. 1929 it was at Lahore under Jawaharlal Nehru. And why is this session important, 31 session? It is because Gandhi-Irwin Pact was officially endorsed. Goal of Purna Swaraj was again reiterated. 2 major resolutions were adopted. Okay, fundamental rights, all the fundamental rights. Again, what was there in the Nehru report, the same thing it is. And national economic program. So other than the fundamental right, national economic development was being focused. If you see later when we reach 1940s and all, Subhash Chandra Bose and all will become the president of INC, and that time even the planning commission will be formed for the first time. Now if you know, India have a planning commission and it is replaced by Niti Aayog and all. So it was actually started that time in the 1940s. So India now from the 1931 onwards, it's moving towards economic development also, not only social and spiritual development. Okay, so it had a lot of things which you can easily write: reduction in rent, revenue, relief from indebtedness. If you remember Gandhiji's 11 points which we did in last chapter, that also had economic points, okay, which will tell about Indian economy growth. So better conditions of work, right to work for peasants, and these are all again coming in the DPSP of present day Constitution of India. So you should connect things which happened in the 1930s and what happened after the independence. For the first time, spelled out the actual meaning of Swaraj for masses. Okay, these kind of things also UPSC will ask. When was the actual meaning of Swaraj spelled out? It was in the 1931 session. In I think 2-3 videos before, I had told you where the Swaraj word was mentioned for the first time in the assembly. So that also becomes important. Try to recall it, or again watch the video and make notes of it. Similar points write down together, so that when you revise it, it will be easier. Change in government's attitude during 1930s will not allow Gandhi to start a mass movement again. So government is like taking strict decisions now. Goodwill of INC not needed anymore. Have other loyalists in and out of it. So initially, if you remember the safety valve theory which we learned, INC was considered as a body which was started with the help of Lord Dufferin and A.O. Hume. So They thought like INC people will stay loyal to them and they will not raise their voice much. But now after coming of Gandhi, INC was a totally rival group for them. So they telling like now we don't need INC loyalty anymore. We have other loyalists, other spy or other CID people who can do the work for them. National movement will not be allowed to consolidate in rural areas. So those were the change in attitude of the government from the 1930s. So things are developing towards a nationalist Indian movement. Now we will see the second roundtable conference. Similar to the INC sessions, you should know like the RTC sessions also happened in December at the end of the year. Okay. So now Congress and Gandhi attended, because if you remember Gandhi-Irwin Pact, Gandhi had agreed like we will come and participate, but talks will fail. We'll see why. What was the reason? Opposition from Conservative Party under Churchill. Obviously, even now in the Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, you will see like the sessions are not happening properly because the opposition will be shouting for each and everything. You should actually see few sessions. Now the winter session will begin soon on December 15th, I think. So you should watch one or two sessions and see how the parliament is actually functioning, because that is the place where all the important decisions for our nation is being made. So the opposition causes that much chaos in the parliament, especially if it's the time during elections. So you should know how the parliament works. And similar thing happened long back in London, because the opposition party, Conservative Party, was shouting for each and everything. So nothing could work properly. That is one reason. Then the Prince, who were going and enjoying the sessions there, they were not much enthusiastic actually to form a federation. Why? Because they have been ruling this life of monarchy or this kind of Raja life for years. Now if a center and state kind of thing, federal setup comes, they will not have any role. So they obviously will be not in favor of it. Majority participants were loyalist and the government was using them against INC. So as they told earlier, they had lot of other loyalists. So again they were disrupting the session. The session got deadlocked on issue of minorities. Separate electorates were being demanded by Muslims, depressed class, Anglo-Indians and Christians. Gandhi was against it. So we already know right from 1909, separate electorates for Muslims had been an issue. But now the new problem which arose was depressed classes even demanded, the scheduled caste, okay, the Dalits, which we tell in present day, because B.R. Ambedkar comes into picture now, and he was the strongest leader for scheduled caste. At the end of the session, Ramsay MacDonald, he announces 2 major Muslim provinces, NWFP and Sindh, set up Indian Consultative Committee, 3 expert committees for discussing finance, franchise, that is voting power, and about the states, and communal award, which becomes the most controversial thing at that time. And this is why Ambedkar and Gandhi relation becomes important. UPSC has asked a mains question for this about the Gandhi and Ambedkar conflict. We'll see one more slide regarding that. And if you see the pictures here, this is one inside the round table. I think it's Madan Mohan Malaviya next to Gandhi, and the other one is outside Gandhi, because he was such a famous personality at that time, so people are clicking pictures with him at that time at London. And this is Ramsay MacDonald. So you should know or connect. These pictures will help you to understand much better. That is why this whole video series itself was started, so that spectrum becomes easier for you and it will retain in your memory. And this is about the Gandhi-Ambedkar conflict. Right side there is a book picture written related to that, and the 2 statues picture which I found in Google, I have taken and put it. And the other picture is about MacDonald. Ramsay MacDonald is telling, now it is our time. Labor is in power. Okay, Labour Party it is. The party name is Labour Party. So it's a cartoon kind of thing, telling they are in power now and it is their time. So what is the communal award actually? Communal award and Pune Pact. In 1932, that is after the second round table conference, Ramsay MacDonald told like the scheduled tribes or the depressed classes should have separate electorates. So again it was a policy of divide and rule. So obviously Gandhi did not like it, because he wanted everyone to be together. Already the Muslim electorates was a big problem and he could not understand how to solve it. And meanwhile Ambedkar is raising the issue of separate electorates for scheduled classes. Actually, both were right in their own versions. When you write an answer, you should write explaining the pros and cons from both ends. Okay, Gandhi wanted Indians to be together, because if another problem is, suppose they give separate electorates to scheduled class, what will happen? They will be always considered as a different class from Hindus, and the problem of untouchability will always remain. The Hindus will always see them as downtrodden, and like the Hindu-Muslim enmity which we have even in present day, it will be like three groups: Hindu, Muslims, and also scheduled caste. So Gandhi wanted to avoid it. So whatever he intended was right. But if you see from Ambedkar angle, Ambedkar personally in his life had seen lot of problems. He became such a professional, such a highly educated person. Other people used to deny even sharing the glass in which he will drink water. It is shown in the movie Ambedkar, which is a national award winning movie, and you should see it. It is acted by South Indian actor Mammootty. Actually, that movie is the English version of it. See the English version. It is dubbed in all languages. See the English version of it, and it's an excellent movie. You should see the entire problem, and the temple entry movement, or the drinking water from common tanks, and all these activities done by B.R. Ambedkar is shown in detail. His life, his professional life, his family life, and how he faces all the issues. Then he drafting the Indian Constitution. That's actually the climax of the movie, and a powerful speech given by Ambedkar. Everything is shown in detail in that movie, and it will be crystal clear for you. Okay. INC disagreed to support it without consent of minorities. Neither accepted nor rejected the award. So at the particular session, inside the session, INC did not tell anything about it. They just heard it and they just came out of it. Now Gandhi saw it as an attack on Indian unity and nationalism. Okay, and opposed it. Whatever I have told you till now. So this is the same thing. It will be difficult to abolish untouchability. So he told it will be better if we give reserved seats instead of doing a separate thing. Ambedkar was a strong support for communal award. Now, Pune Pact is now actually between Ambedkar and Gandhi. You should know this also. The timeline also you should know. It happened after the second round table conference. So, Gandhi-Irwin Pact, that is Delhi Pact, and Pune Pact, both happened after the second round table conference. So, this is how UPSC will trap you. They will put these kind of events which happened back to back, and they will ask you to arrange in chronological order. Okay, and Delhi Pact. Okay, we'll see more details about it. Madan Mohan Malaviya and MC Raja interfered. Okay, compromise between Gandhi and Ambedkar. Joint electorates with increased reservations. 147 seats in province, 18% in central assembly. So if you see, this point went on to indefinite fasting. Okay, Gandhi actually went on to fasting, because that is what he always do when he has to get something definitely done immediately. And no one will want him to die out of fasting. So everyone will interfere. That is how Madan Mohan Malaviya and MC Raja interfered and had a compromise talk, and finally it was resolved like these many kind of seats. You don't have to remember the seats and percentage, but reservations will be given and they will have joint electorates under Hindu group. Gandhiji and Harijan is also important. Harijan magazine. Anything related to Gandhi is very important. That is why we are making separate slides always. 1930. So there are a lot of prelims related things. Make a note of the bodies. Now set up All India Anti-Untouchability League when he was in jail. He started the weekly Harijan. Starting from Varda, conducted Harijan tour across India. Raised fund for newly set up Harijan Sevak Sangh. So there are many bodies. Anything related to Harijan, Varda, untouchability will be related to Gandhi. Okay. Proceedings. Asked political workers to go to villages to work for overall development of Harijans. So he is asking others also to do the same. He undertook too fast to let the people seriousness of the task. So whenever he does fasting, people will understand like Gandhiji is too much serious about it. He faced lot of orthodox and reactionary elements in villages. So obviously many people or high caste Brahmins, they will come and tell like they cannot value the downtrodden or the Harijans. They will not work for their betterment. So he was facing negativity as well. He asked to throw open temples and public places to all. This is the same thing what Ambedkar also told. And this is one quote. Hinduism dies if untouchability lives. Untouchability has to die if Hinduism is to live. Both are actually same statement told in two kind of voices, active, passive kind of thing. So only if untouchability is done away with, Hinduism will survive peacefully. Shastras also, this also we mentioned in I think 2 to 3 chapters before, like Shastras does not allow it, Vedas does not allow it, and he's telling even if it allows, you should ignore it because truth is always better, human dignity is always better. So again, the same thing, this also we have discussed. Gandhiji was not against caste system, but Ambedkar was actually wanted to remove the overall caste system. Gandhiji told it is good that Varna system exists so that division of labor will happen according to the Vedas. So this is also one reason for conflict between Ambedkar and Gandhi. So hope you got enough points so that you could write in detail about the Harijan class, depressed class, Pune Pact and Ambedkar-Gandhi relations. Now we will see one more thing which is important. There are two topics left in this chapter, I think. So first one is the STS strategy versus Nehru's vision. That is how Spectrum has actually explained it. Gandhi-Nehru relations also becomes important. Okay, not only Gandhi-Nehru, about senior leaders of INC versus youth leaders like Nehru. So we'll see what this strategy means. After civil disobedience was withdrawn, three new visions will come up. Okay. First one is, like if you remember the Swarajist and no changer of that time where moderates got split, Swarajist was telling we'll do council entry, we'll enter council and do the session kind of thing. But other no changers told we will do constructive work from outside. Similarly, after civil disobedience, there were split up or visions, school of thoughts. Constructive work to be done on Gandhian lines, enter the councils and keep off political morale. That is now M.A. Ansari, Asaf Ali, Balubhai, Desai. He is very important because Desai will come again in the next chapter. We'll see. So this were two types of thing, and the third one is the leftist one under youth leaders like Nehru, which he opposed both of the things. He told mass struggle. He did not like civil disobedience being done away with. He wanted mass struggle. Okay. So these are the three visions. Nehru considered withdrawal from CDM as a spiritual defeat. He suggested to empower classes of peasants and workers via Kisan Sabhas and trade unions. So he is talking everything about mass struggle. He wants to empower the masses and bring them together. Unions and affiliate the classes. Okay, trade unions and affiliate the classes to the Congress. Again telling the same thing. Bring everyone together and link it with the INC. Utilize the class struggle of the masses. Senior Congress leaders believed in STS methodology. So STS stands for struggle, truce, struggle. That is, you should do the mass struggle. Then a pact, something like Gandhi Irwin or something should happen. And then again we'll make people ready and we'll go for the next struggle. So this was basically the ideology of senior Congress leaders, which is called the STS method. Now what did Nehru tell? Jawaharlal Nehru. He told this phase of struggle followed by a phase of truce, again followed by struggle is not good. He argued that the truce period itself should not be there. Okay. He will tell struggle victory strategy. That means keep struggling, do the mass movements, and finally we should get independence. So his method is of the leftist method or the ideal method of youth. Okay. So you should understand the difference between Gandhi's or senior leader's vision versus Nehru's vision, which is also mentioned in this chapter. That is why I put a separate slide for it. Gandhi insisted on council entry. Why did Gandhi do that? Because if you see the three visions which we told on top, Gandhi is supporting 1 and 2 both, because he told everybody cannot do satyagraha, everybody cannot do fasting. So such people should do council entry and should go and disrupt the meetings, or they should not stay unoccupied, they should participate in something. Okay. Nehru focused more on socialism, but he wanted imperial powers to leave first. That is why if you see post-independence also, India-USSR relations are very good. At that time, socialism was what Nehru supported the most. Gandhi decided to resign INC in 1934. INC participated in 1934 elections fairly. So even though all these problems are happening, INC participated in the elections. They did not just boycott it totally. Okay, so this is the entire STS strategy versus Nehru vision. This is the Government of India Act 1935. I am actually leaving this slide as blank. Initially I thought to include it, then as I told in the beginning of this chapter, we will do it in detail when we do all the acts together. Only then you will understand the flow. Okay, so just to show the timeline, I put this blank slide, 1935. Next, what happens is in 1937, provincial elections will happen. After the Government of India Act 1935 was outrightly rejected by INC, next debate began on elections. So 1935 also had a lot of provisions which leaders did not like and they rejected it. Okay. Next debate will happen on the provincial elections. So Nehru, Subhash Chandra Bose, Socialist, Communist, etc. were against council entry of getting ministries. They favoured mass struggle. We have seen this already. The youth leaders wanted mass struggle. but also suggested that council entry could be a method to create deadlock in routine. This also we have seen. Those who cannot do mass struggle should go enter inside the assembly and create a deadlock there by debating. Other senior Congress leaders were in favor of contesting elections and entering councils as a short-term tactic, as option of mass struggle was not available now. So this is again the same thing. What we saw, the two visions, vision number 1 and vision number 3 actually. What we saw in the previous slide. Congress manifesto for elections. So what was the manifesto for INC at that time? Total rejection of Government of India Act 1935, promised release of prisoners. If you remember, in Gandhi Irwin Pact, only the ones who were non-violent were released, the others were not released. Okay, so these are the promises which INC leaders gave to the people. Everyone will be released, removal of discrimination on the basis of caste and gender, improve agrarian skills, etc. Gandhiji did not attend even a single election meeting. Okay, so if you remember, he had decided to resign INC itself in 1934. Congress won the election with high majority in all provinces it contested, except for Muslim dominated areas of Punjab, Bengal, Assam, NWFP and Sindh. And this is exactly the future Pakistan. All these provinces will go to Pakistan at that time, West and East Pakistan. Okay. Congress ministries formed in Bombay, Madras, UP, Bihar. So if you see 1937, Congress comes into power and forms ministries. They become ministers. Gandhi advised to hold these seats lightly and not tightly. They are crowns of thrones. Okay, thrones. This is actually a statement by Gandhi. You should not be carried away by the peaks and perks or the everything benefits which you get out of this. You should just use it for Indian national movement. Don't be or don't become loyalist to the British and forget what is your actual goal. That is what Gandhi advised. Masses were happy, but the Congress leaders could not bring about huge changes in the overall imperial structure of the government. So even after becoming ministers, they could not bring about any great change in the overall imperial structure or the British imperial rule. So this is about the provincial elections and who won and what was the manifesto. Okay. Now this is the last slide for this chapter. This is about the 28-month Congress rule. What is 28 month? Actually we saw 1937 they came into power and became ministries, but they resigned in October 1939 during World War II. Now the timeline has reached World War II, 1939. Okay, world history is also coming in. So they resigned actually. So the timeline is 28 months. So if you see, it will be 2 years and 4 months. 2 years, 4 months they were in power as ministers, but they resigned. So this slide is about the achievements or the activities they did. If you see the picture, Jawaharlal Nehru, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel on both sides of Gandhi, and now we are closing or nearing towards the 1940s. We'll see what happened. Gandhiji urged congressmen to prove that the Congress could rule efficiently without support of police or army. Following are the details of work done by congressmen. So Gandhi told like we should prove that we can run the government ourselves. Self-governance or Purna Swaraj which we are demanding, it should be just not words. It should be like we should prove that we can rule India even when the Britishers go away. And we'll see some activities. On civil liberties, what did they do? Laws giving emergency powers were repealed. Ban on national bodies, press, newspaper, etc. were lifted. So every ban or every emergency conditions or viceroy rule, everything was lifted because of the influence of the Congress leaders. Police powers curbed. CID could not shadow politicians now. So if you remember, CID was the thing which even Gandhiji demanded in the 11 points which he told. CID should not shadow politicians now, because they used to do spy work for the British. They were loyalists to the British. Political prisoners and revolutionaries were released. Lands, pensions held back during CDM was restored back. So almost each point, I think it is mentioned in Gandhi's 11 point. Each of the things were being implemented effectively by the Congress when they ruled for 2 years. Agrarian reforms, reduction in rent revenue, but in total not much benefits. So the agrarian things they tried, but it actually failed. No much benefits. Why no much benefits? These are the reasons. They did not have much power in land matters. So even now if you see Delhi government will be every now and then Kejriwal will be telling we don't have power, we don't have police, we don't have money. So like that this Congress ministry also gave reason like land related matters we don't have power. Zamindari system was tough to remove. Poor tenant was not reached. They did not have adequate financial resources, because even after becoming ministers, they did not have say in the financial allocation or budget provisions. Legislative councils had landlords, zamindars, money lenders. So the councils even had these people represented. So obviously they will fight or debate whenever they are trying to put some ban on agricultural mishappenings. So agrarian reforms was not being successful because of various reasons like this. Congressmen did not have much time, because by the time they were raising the issues, the sessions were going in deadlock because of these people in session, and also World War things started happening. 1938 onwards, World War discussions and things started happening. So agrarian reforms could not be worked much upon. Labor reforms, they formed unions, like you remember Nehru was telling we should form trade unions, Kisan Sabhas and all those things. So they tried to reduce strikes by maintaining industrial peace. It was indeed tough and arrest happened. Gandhi advised political education. So labor related things also was, up to an extent it was successful. Social reforms, measures to improve conditions of Harijans, education, sanitation, public health, khadi development. You will see these are all coming in the DPSP of present day India. So these kind of things were achieved by Congress in the 28-month rule. Extra things which does not come under any of these headings. Congress police stations were set up, panchayats, mass literacy campaigns. So almost everything which was needed for the betterment of India was being touched upon by the Congress leaders. So this was the actual beginning of India ruling Indians, Indians ruling India. Okay. So this is the details of 28-month Congress rule. Now we'll see the MCQs. So the chapter 9, which was the biggest chapter in this textbook, we have completed, and I hope it was clear for you. Let's see MCQs quickly. Which of the following are true regarding round table conferences? Lord Irwin was the viceroy in India during the 3 round table conferences. This one I want you to find out. I have not mentioned directly, but you should be able to guess it. Okay. Congress participated in all the 3 round table conferences. This you can actually know. You know the answer, I know. So please try to find out the first statement and answer this in comment section. Next question, the typical UPSC question. Arrange the following from oldest to newest in sequence. Gandhi's 14 points, Jinnah's 14 points, Gandhi's 11 points, Gandhi-Irwin Pact, Pune Pact, Delhi Pact. Okay, so here I think Gandhi-Irwin Pact and Delhi Pact is actually the same. Maybe a choice is wrong, but other 4 you can arrange it. Okay, we have covered everything in the last 2 videos, so please arrange it. The last one, this is actually not totally related to this video, but whatever we have learned, all these chapters, I have put it together. Which of the following are matched correctly? If you remember, United India House and Swadesh Seva Home were bodies outside India. You have to tell whether it is correctly matched, Seattle and Vancouver. And Free Hindustani, whether it was written by Taraknath Das, and Komagatu Maru incident, okay, where the Canada Prime Minister even apologized to India recently, and it is in news. Whether the leader related to it is Baba Gurdeep Singh. So if you don't know, either Google it or watch our videos, and you should be able to answer all these 3 questions, because these are typical UPSC questions. And if you want to buy more questions related to the same thing, we have entire PDF set. 3 PDFs are there, total of about 320 questions. Please purchase it from us at Vysh IAS Facebook page. Like this page and subscribe to this YouTube channel, and please give us comments. We have almost done the big chapters now. Now only the 10th chapter, which is related to independence, is the biggest one. The rest all are small chapters which we can do it in short videos. So please give us feedback whether this is being benefited to you, so that we can continue or make improvements till we come up with 10th chapters part 1. Enjoy your learning. Ask us for any doubts. So as of now, thank you. Have a nice day.